Are we live?
Yes, I'm about to turn it on.
So are you asking me questions? Is that how we're doing this?
I'm going to guide the discussion.
Okay, very good, because I like to go off on tangents. I mean, you know, it flows, but. Back to life. Back to reality.
They put purple lights on the trees. Look how beautiful it is.
Oh, that's lovely. Are you sure that's not a picture?
It's a picture Sarah sent me.
Oh, okay.
It is a picture.
Oh. I thought it was at someone's street right now.
Oh. And that was Brenda Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Is she related to Rita Finlay?
I don't know. I'd be like, sources say.
My sources
say that now clinic hours are going to be shut down.
And that was Brenda Jackson.
Oh, now we just hear you talking. Okay, everybody. Right now, we're going to be talking with Gypsy Wanna, who
Sources say.
Heipa District Rep.
Sources say that now clinic hours are going to be shut down.
And that was Brenda Jackson.
Now we just hear you talking. Okay, everybody. Share it to some groups and pages. So give us a few minutes. It's rude. Can you share it to your page, Gypsy? Because I can't seem to. Okay, no, it's not shared. I put it on your page. Oh. Give me just a minute. I'm still trying to. Oh, yes, very good. Did you get it?
Should I send it to
Yes, you should. Yes. It should still be on. Oh, fine. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started in just a minute as soon as we get it saved to everybody's pages. It says Shannon Cromwell is live now. So it should be going on. Let me just check and see. Make sure it's on all pages. Oh yeah, it says it's live. It says it's been live for 3 minutes. Can you guys hear us? Someone said there's no sound. Oh, I gotta turn my sound off on the phone. Can you hear us now? We want to make sure that the sound is fully functioning before we start. So if somebody is watching, can you just type in a comment?
Okay, so it shows live. I shared it to my page, and then Catherine says it's showing
Content not available.
content not available.
Because I can see it.
So on your content, your page has to make sure that this particular live is public.
Yep, mine's live, or it should be. Oh, Alex said he can hear us.
Only Gypsy's friends can see this post.
It should be. I shared it public, so let me make sure. And then it's recording too.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens after.
Yep.
You share yours public because I still can't see it.
Because I'm seeing the.
Well, so this is what it looked like on my page.
Okay.
And so when I click share, she gets that and it says content not available. And if it's public, regardless of whether or not you're friends, it should, right?
Yeah.
It should still go. So we don't know what.
Yeah.
We will.
It's coming up on mine. I checked in one of my groups and on one of my pages.
But you're you.
Yeah, that's true. It says there are 5 people watching. And I can see what I'm just saying because it's coming up, it's generating the little captions.
Because I don't even see it on yours. It says, hi, all, I'm about to go live, and then there's no other link, no nothing. And we're live, you're live on your page?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, so I'm not seeing it. But you're not my friend, so.
My turn to be friends. Well, I guess we'll be able to share the recording later, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I will put it on YouTube also.
Oh,
So if
okay.
anybody misses anything, I'll put it on my YouTube page.
I'm here in person as if I need it live. But I wanted to make sure I could get it next time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to get started. We're here tonight with Gypsy Wanna. She's the Heipa district representative. And she had a few updates she wanted to share and some information that she wanted to share with people. So Gypsy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
And I know you wanted to talk about why you ran for council.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as Shannon said, my name is Gypsy Wanna. I'm the Heipa District Council Rep. And I just wanted to give everybody a reminder of why I decided to run for council in the first place. And it had to do, for the past couple of years, well, for the last 10 years or more, I've been involved with our district. I've been on our youth board. I've been on the district powwow committee, district constitution revision committee. I've been the district secretary. I don't know, a lot of other ones.
Youth.
Oh yeah, I said youth
you
board
said-
already. So anyhow, I've been on a lot of involved in a lot of the district stuff. And so, what was the next step? What are we going to do now? And I know, talking with family and friends and everybody in the community over the last years that we've been involved with district business, there's always talks, but we're on Facebook now a lot, and we see talk and conversations between people amongst ourselves and such about how, council is corrupt. There's so much corruption this, corruption that, and as a whole, I would agree with that, because as a whole, when motions are made, they pass or fail. Whether or not one individual person votes against it, if it passes and it's the wrong kind of a thing, that screws, and that's what gives everyone or the whole council a bad name. That's what I think. That's the things I've learned since I got in office. Well, anyway, why I ran for council anyway is I had been thinking about it. What can we do? How can we go about this? Because there has to be more to do, more that we can do. And as a regular person, as a tribal employee, you can't do, or at least you can't get the information you need. You're not privy to the full details that you need and all of the things that you'd like to know more about. When you want to push an issue, you don't have that authority. Nobody listens to you. And I'll take it a step further. If you're a woman, then you get even less respect, in my opinion. I don't know. Other people have that same thing happen to them. Well, so I worked in community health education. My whole job was educating the community about their health care and promoting health and disease prevention. I learned a lot in that position, and a lot of things people need to know about. I recalled that we did a trauma-informed care one time a few years back with Marlon Farley was here. And
That was so good.
it was awesome. It was excellent. And we had done like 2 or 3 that year during that time, because we were all learning about trauma and trauma-informed care and how that trauma affects you, especially the historical trauma. I didn't get it at first either. And so I learned so much, and it was a big old light bulb that went off. And I'm like, the things that we see today, like the alcoholism and abuse and such, those are all symptoms of historical trauma. That's the results we're dealing with from all these, from that historical trauma from our ancestors and such. And so I learned a lot in that time. And one day, one of the guys, it's an early childhood intervention program, had their clients attend this conference. And it's good. I mean, it's cool because what they do is they provide incentives for their parents to go to these things so they can learn something. If they go, they get free Pampers or milk or, something. And so that's what a lot of these say, Pampers are so expensive, so it was a really good deal. But the one man stood up at the end and said he didn't even want to be there. He didn't want to come to this conference because he's like, why? I don't want to be here, didn't want to go. And at the end, he said, I'm so glad I came. I learned so much because I didn't know that this is what I was thinking or feeling, or why I didn't basically kind of learn why you act the way you act or behave the way you do, the choices you made and stuff. And it's like, so you don't always know what you don't know. I'm always saying that to everybody else. So that's what I'm saying. People need to know. People need to know what's going on. And this is my big deal, and it was in health. If you develop type 2 diabetes, you don't have to end up on dialysis. You don't have to end up with getting your hands and toes cut off, your foot cut off. It's called management and preventing the stuff in the first place. So one of the biggest things I always thought of is if there's a tragedy that happens that could have been prevented if you knew about it, and there's so many like children in car seats. That's a big one. I didn't know my kid should be in this car seat, and I didn't know it should be buckled up this way. Mm-hmm. If I'd have known that, we would have done it right. And then instead, car accident, and then a child dies, and that could have been a preventable death. So that's where I come from on this thing, is on people need to know, because there's so much we don't know. And those of us who do learn and do know stuff, I feel it's our responsibility to share what we learn, because it empowers people. Knowledge empowers us. It gives us just gives us better choices to make. We can make better choices for ourselves. And
if you translate that into politics, that means that you can elect leaders.
Yes,
that
can
do good
make better
things.
Choices for the tribe.
Yes.
And a few years back, again, this is kind of a long thing, but you've got to understand where I'm coming from and why I'm so adamant about some of these things, is because when Dr. Williams, he was a provider at our healthcare center at IHS, Woodrow Wilson Memorial Healthcare Center. And he is retired now. He was hired a few years back as the medical director. What do they call him? The clinical director at our service unit. And he had not been in that position, but he was assured that he would get the proper training and the proper support from management. They would train him and, these things, which is cool. That's what they're supposed to do and what they do for a lot of other people, to provide the proper training for them. And the assistance and support. Well, he got it, and he was happy to do that. And he recruited a lot of people, a lot of other providers. And dare I say, we were actually fully staffed for a while with permanent providers at that facility. And it was great. It was awesome. I was so excited because of all these teams that we have at the healthcare center with the tribal health programs for the community. We had the community safety team. We have the First 1,000 Days interagency group that helps to mitigate the effects of toxic shock for the babies when they're in the womb. There's the behavioral health interagency team. There's a diabetes team meeting. And all of these meetings, you need all of these stakeholders involved to get these programs to be working and providing the services that we do provide or that are provided. And a lot of these things, you need a medical provider. It'd be so helpful if you had a medical provider at these meetings. And that couldn't happen because number one, we weren't hardly ever fully staffed. And number two, maybe they weren't interested. Maybe they didn't like it, but that had never really happened in the time that I was working in the community health education program. So when Dr. Williams got these providers here, diabetes team meeting, 1 month, there were like 4 of them there. And I was so excited. I was so happy because they were willing and they did. They actually came to a couple of our health fairs and did booths and they did foot checks and PHN always goes to the public health fair, to the health fairs and stuff because that's part of their scope of work. But we had actual providers to do some of these things that they could educate the people on. And it was very exciting. It was awesome. And they were just so glad that this kind of thing was happening. Well, it took maybe 2 months and they couldn't come to the meetings anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened at that facility, but other than I could say that it was the same old crap that always happens. They're whipped and they're beaten. They're shut down so much that they can't even leave their office no more. They had to get some kind of special permission to come to the meetings, let alone to go to health fairs now. So that happened. They weren't at the meetings anymore. So that kind of sucked and it was disappointing. But, I got to talk with them and I would be able to talk with them on the side, one-on-one or whatever, when it was coming time for another health fair or for other things for our program to do. So they were it was just really good, they were gone. And so then soon, it just got worse. Just however, you get some good providers. What was great is that being in community health education, and we're 4 or 5 of us, in that program, being out in the community and talking, we had so many people come to us all, there was me, Liz Anderson, Audrey German, Sandy Bernard, and Linda Obago. We all had our different people that would come up to us and tell us that they were so happy this provider was here. They're seeing this person, they're seeing this provider. And you will not believe it. In all 2 years that I've been dealing with this issue, I sat down with this one in 5 minutes. All it took was talking with 5 minutes. We changed my medication and I've never felt so much better in my whole life. And these guys actually provided education in the exam room. Now, that's what's so important. In order for, this is just a psychological thing and kind of a public health statistic type deal, is like the studies show that the more time a provider spends with the patient and showing that they care about it, that patient's going to be more compliant and improve their health. Even if it's just a 3-minute discussion with that medical provider, they're going to be more invested in taking their healthcare seriously and improving it and following through and stuff. And so that's obviously true with all these people that came up to me and the other people in our program who had such positive things in having their healthcare improve, just some minor changes. And it was awesome and it was great. And I was so glad, so happy. But then somebody wants to quit. This one's quitting. All of a sudden we're losing all the providers. Dr. Williams was ousted from his position. He was threatened and whatever. I could say these things and they say, is it true? Is it not true? Well, I'm telling you what I was told from these providers. Now, we all know who the providers were because we haven't been fully staffed since then and we hardly have anyone left now. But a lot of these providers, there was one non-native, non-person of color, so a white person. There was a couple of Asian folks and some Black people that were providers. And I'm not just talking about, we're talking about, there were some provider, even our own Native peoples in the dental program, in radiology, pharmacy, lab, people of color, all gone. And why is that? What it boils down to is racism. There's racism going on at that facility. And of course, not everybody sees it. And of course, the one who does the racism, who's being outright racist, they're not going to do it in front of a room full of people. They're going to make subtle comments and do all of these things in the side and the sneakiness to that person. And when those providers or those people who were targeted or who were harassed or who were on the receiving end of this racism would file a complaint, it didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere. So our local unit, whatever that complaint process is, the chain of command, filing this complaint, nothing was addressed. It didn't happen. These problems were never addressed. So basically, these people left, the providers that were so great and so awesome with our people, where we actually had positive outcomes, they left because of the racism and how nothing was done. It was not addressed, and so they left. Why should they suffer their health to work in a place that they're not even appreciated at? And now I've heard that there were some of the comments there, some of those comments that the providers told me they're just awful. I can't believe it. It's just awful. And you know, when you hear about this stuff, sometimes it's so terrible that it's absurd. It almost sounds like it could be made up. Oh, it can't be that bad. No, but it's true. Some of these things are so bad that you can't think they are, but they are. And that's why they left. And they will tell you, you know, we had that big old public forum, another one at the Elderly Center in 2019, that November, end of October, November of 2019. And at that time, Randy Jordan was there, the CEO, and he's like, well, their exit interviews all said they were going to leave because of they missed their families, personal issues, the location, winters, you know, whatever other thing is. And I stated at that time, and I say it everywhere, whatever, you know, what are the chances are they're going to put the real truth in that file on their exit interview? The reason they left is because management refused to address the racism issues here. What is the chance that they're going to work in another IHS facility? And we all know that the No Fear Act training and stuff doesn't even work, because if that really was practiced in the way they teach every year, the annual training, they would not be afraid to be putting this in there.
Well, and I think that when council had that session with the area director, then he stated that he had gone through, he was reading through all these complaints. There were 25 complaints, he said. And he said there was no merit to any of them. And so it's like, okay, and then he told us that he read 40 pages of complaints a night to prepare for that meeting for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then how was there only 25 all of a sudden?
Yeah, but not only that, but if you have that number of complaints, how can you say there's no merit? There's nothing to any of them when many of them said the same thing.
Exactly. And that's another good point, because some of those people who filed those complaints, and if Driving Hawk read through those, he never contacted any of those people. So I don't know what his actual investigation consisted of, because the ones who filed those complaints, he never talked to them, because some of them were still working. So with that said, I found out that the reason these people left is because of the racism and not management not doing anything yet. That I'm sorry, it really pissed me off. That's the reason you don't have a medical provider. It's the reason you don't have one and I don't have one. Why we don't have a primary care provider is because management didn't take care of the racist issues that are going on.
Yep, so let's talk about numbers now, because I know that we've lost a number of providers. Yes. So what are we down to?
I do not actually know now. Last I heard, there was Ferdinand, whatever. He was the last one. He's gone now. And I thought there was only 2. That Prismus, Carmen, is that her last name now? She got married. I don't know if that's her married name. Anyways, Carmen, and I don't even know, there were some contract hires. The last I was informed, which was 2 weeks ago, because I've been dealing with some medical stuff, so I have to get updated on that stuff too. But the last was, we could not get medical providers, not even through contract hires, you know, through the contract systems, because they don't want to work with us anymore. We have so much bad stuff going on that nobody wants to work here at our facility anymore. So the last I knew, they were working with one contracting company, and I don't know which one it is, and we can't get any more hires. People don't want to come here anymore. They've heard about how bad it is there.
And then don't we just have one MD?
Yeah, and
is it a practicing MD?
Well, from what I understand, the clinical director right now, if he's still there, is Dr. LeSueur. He's a pediatrician. And then we have Carmen. If she's still there, she's a nurse practitioner, I believe.
And I have to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but as a clinical director, if he's in charge of all that, he's not going to have time to be an administrator, let alone to see patients. You can't do both. You have to do one or the other. So expecting him, and they've had other clinical directors in that same position that they expected to see patients 100% of the time and do admin 100% of the time, and then get written up for not attending a meeting because they were seeing a patient. and you know, which is completely ridiculous
Yeah.
because, and then they made compensations for other providers that may be
Right.
non-native or non-people of color where, oh no, you can come on in and you only have to see patients 20% of the time. Most of your duties will be all administrative. You know, and then I know we had Dr. Patel here a number of years ago and he could do it all. And he was the one that, if anyone could do it all, it would have been him because he was just,
He's
in my
awesome.
opinion, the most awesomest. But sorry for that. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Sorry, everybody. That's Catherine, Gypsy's sister, interjecting.
But I had to add that I just,
So a lot of times we have complaints, you know, and it's a general complaint. IHS sucks. IHS sucks. IHS sucks. You know, and really, let's get specific here. It's not necessarily that IHS sucks. I mean, there are inherent problems with it that have always been there. Number one is the lack of funding from the federal government,
Yep.
which needs to be addressed. With Biden in office now, you know, we're probably going to get more funding. We've got the most funding ever, even more than when Obama was in office. But anyways, point is, but that's one of the issues. The other thing is, if we had proper management and oversight of the way that facility is run, that could address the issues and follow the complaint process that are supposed to happen, then it might not be so bad because we actually did have some really good providers for a while. And at that time, IHS didn't suck. So
now all these complaints happened, and then there was the meeting with council, with the area director, and he had some promises that he made to the tribe about this issue. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So one of the things, so anyhow, all of this stuff, that's why I ran for council. Because you don't get answers otherwise. So anyways, when Driving Hawk came to council, so apparently this is how it happened. James Driving Hawk, who was the area director, contacted our chairman and said he wanted to address council regarding those resolutions that we had. That was how it was informed. That's how it was translated to me and to the rest of council. So we met, and according to him, he said the resolution he thought was already addressed for the removal of those 3 employees, that those resolutions, he thought that was all said and done with because his investigation was complete. And this was when Donovan, when Donovan White was our chairman, Driving Hawk said he gave a report of no findings to Donovan as our chairman. And so therefore he considered that that whole issue was all complete.
Well,
done and said done.
He said, because I was there that day,
Yeah.
What he said was he gave the findings to Chairman White, and Chairman White told him that it was fine as long as he worked on getting some more doctors into our service unit. So I checked with him because I wanted to verify if there was truth to that.
Yep.
And Donovan White said that the conversation didn't happen.
wow.
Yeah. So anyhow, there's that. And so some people had questions for Driving Hawk. What are you going to do about providers? How is this going to go? Basically, Mr. Driving Hawk said that he was going to get within 30 to 45 days outside party to come in and do training for the staff on team building skills, because he brought it down to the way people perceptions and communication. That's what it sounded like. He made it sound that was the biggest problem, was communication and how people perceive said communication. So they were going to bring in training on team building skills. I didn't know what they didn't say anything about how there were going to be more providers, but try and fix this and hope that would work. And then the next time at regular council, Randy Jordan came in from the CEO to give his report. We asked about providers again, and there's still no thing. They're trying to hire a area-wide recruitment company. I have no idea where that's going, but in the meantime, we don't have any providers.
Yeah, and what I think it's important to point out there is that we really got him to say, because there was several people that were there, we really got him to say that it was a toxic work environment.
That's right.
And that the toxic work environment contributed to our facility being unable to recruit providers.
Right, because it's facility-wide.
Yeah.
And he also did state that the administration and CEO kind of contributed to some of that.
Yes.
He did state that as well.
Yes. So basically, so he promised that he would do all of this stuff, and now we got word that he's leaving.
Yeah, and I don't know if he left yet or not. It kind of sounded like he left already, but James Driving Hop accepted a position in Phoenix as a CEO at a medical center in Phoenix. And I don't know if he left yet or not, but he's no longer our area director.
Yeah, so he's no longer an area director. He's now a CEO of a facility.
Yeah. And I have no idea what's happening with our administration here at this facility. I do know that there's talk of them reducing clinic hours.
Yeah,
because we don't have enough providers. They're going to be reducing clinic hours. Now, so this is an important thing, what I think everybody needs to know. With this lack of providers, we're obviously not getting the care that we are entitled to. You know, any place wouldn't have that. So there's a lot of patient complaints. There's a lot of patient care complaints. And I'm talking not just like, oh, they made me wait for 15 minutes to see the doctor. I mean, that's a valid complaint, but there's more serious ones where there's misdiagnoses, there's wrong medications given. And so this is what I was talking about before, you know, filing a complaint. Whenever you do have a complaint at our service unit or any healthcare, any place you go to, you really should file a complaint within their system, because if they don't get it, they can't fix it.
Yeah.
Now, nothing ever happens here. That's what a lot of people say. Why fill it out? Because nothing ever happens, right? Nothing changes. Well, there's a couple things that I've learned that are wrong with why it doesn't work. Is according to Driving Hawk, you'll never get a response. You'll never get an answer on anything that was ever done, which is wrong. So the way the complaint process works, they have a person at the facility that takes the patient complaints. It's their job to follow up on it, get that complaint, address it to the right department that it goes to. And then if there's an error within that department or this department or whichever it was, they fix it, give it back to that person who takes the complaint in the first place, and then let the patient know, yes, we got your complaint, it was investigated, either nothing was found, something was found, or whatever, and just saying, you know, thank you, we've addressed it, and you know, we're gonna fix it for the future. But that doesn't happen right now. Right now, the complaint goes in, and they get the generic letter that says, we got your complaint, and thank you. You know, yeah, that's it. So when Driving Hot said they'll never get it, we don't, as patients, as customers, we aren't gonna get this. That is true in the sense that we're never gonna find out if the person got reprimanded. If somebody did something wrong, we're not gonna find out that, yeah, they got reprimanded, they got suspended 2 weeks without pay. They're not gonna give us that information. We're not entitled to that information. But what we are entitled to is whether or not there was an issue that was addressed, and if it was taken care of or not. We are entitled to that, and getting an answer that was actually changed. And tracking this stuff so that we know that if there's the same complaint over and over again, well, then there's something wrong, you know, in the system. So that's not happening. That hasn't happened. It isn't happening. And what I'm talking about for these kinds of complaints with the patient care issues, like not getting in, and then say you have, I don't know, that people are telling me stuff. There's the Joint Commission. You can go to the Joint Commission website and file a complaint on there.
Yes, and we have the link to that in the comment section of this live. So there's a link there to get to that if you want to file a complaint to the Joint Commission.
Now, the Joint Commission, all of the, like healthcare facilities, they have to be accredited. Like the way schools are accredited for education, healthcare has to be accredited. The Joint Commission is the one that does our healthcare facility. And there are certain things you have to meet, certain criteria you have to meet. And if they don't meet those requirements, they are not accredited and therefore not qualified to treat patients. Now, do you recall when for people with abuse history, coming up talking about this. Remember in the news not too long ago, a few months ago, a year ago, Pine Ridge Service Unit had a pedophile that was working there for years and was finally in, what was it, 2019 or 2018, was convicted of sexual abuse, 10 counts of sexual abuse of minors, of boys. Now, it took years for that to happen. This man is like in his 70s now, but it happened from 1989 to 1997 or something. It was like 9-year period in Pine Ridge time. It was reported. It was reported to the powers that be in that system. It was reported to the clinical staff there. It was reported to the area office. It was reported everywhere, but nothing was ever done. And so I shared on my Facebook page some articles and links that were about that. Kellerland had done a story on it. There was a news article, and then there was also a Frontline interview, a documentary from Frontline. And it talked about all the things that they had done and the culture of what was happening there and how nobody did anything.
Yeah. And
how nobody did anything, and they knew about it. And even the doctors over there, the medical staff would joke about it and call these boys Dr. So-and-so's boys.
yeah, and they actually showed that Frontline at the tribal office.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, and I think it was the SORNA program, the Sex Offender
Very
Registry.
good.
Yeah.
So,
Because that's where I saw it.
good. So now my point in saying this is the type of stuff that kept that crap going on for years and years is the same type of stuff that's happening here now. Now, we don't have, that we know of, any pedophiles as our providers here, but we have people in positions that are not addressing the wrongs that are happening. It's that same culture, keeping everything quiet, keeping it hush-hush, not telling everyone, not doing about it, and then threatening others who are trying to do the right thing and getting them ousted. Because, you know, every time somebody tries to do something right, they try and get them kicked out and sent somewhere else. Now,
Or they get labeled.
they get labeled as a troublemaker, and in reality, they're the persons that are trying to do right. So that's what I want to talk about. All this way around is why I wanted to run for council, because hopefully I could at least get some answers, or at least be able to ask the questions and hopefully get the answers, because otherwise we'd never get anything.
Yep. So what do you think that we can do just as a tribe about these issues of the IHS?
Well, I think there's a couple of things we can do as tribal members. Number one, you know, get more involved in your district meetings. Go to your district meetings. And if you're not going to go to your district meetings, if you want to be a part of the health stuff, you know, talk with your Human Services Board rep. You know, just get the information and get the facts, and just somehow get more involved. There's a lot of things, you know, a lot of issues that our tribe faces, and there's only a few. We need more people on the ground in every area to make things better. And the other thing is,
you're ex officio for Human Services
yes.
Board, right? So I don't think that everybody always knows who their reps are.
Right.
So can you maybe just
Try and remember.
try and remember everybody?
Yeah. So here's the other thing, what I would like to do is, because see now, we haven't had, I don't know who all the complaints are and stuff, but what the Human Services Board right now is trying to do is to, number one, just all new members. I'm a new tribal council member. I'm a new ex officio over the Human Service Board. And so we're still trying to get our bearings straight. But what we would like to do is, if people have a complaint with the IHS, you can contact your Human Services Board rep and they will help you write that complaint, or they'll go with you to the facility to help you fill out the paperwork and stuff. Now, System IHS is supposed to be able to take any complaint, verbal or not, but we're always told you have to put it in writing. Well, that's not true. And we got those words from Driving Hong and Randy's CEO, Randy Jordan, the CEO. But that's not widely advertised. But the thing is, the Human Service Board wants to be able to get copies of your complaints, keep them on file so we can start tracking the types of complaints, and if there's a pattern, what type of pattern it is, so that we actually have some data to prove, because we can't, they don't give us the reports from the service unit already anyway. We never get the proper follow-up. And yeah, there's also the HIPAA violation, so we would need you to sign a release if you were going to have us help and stuff. But
yeah, and another thing that I would like to add there is when Driving Hawk addressed council, he talked about how his office had received these 25 complaints. You know, over time, since when was it that the resolution was passed? 2018? 2019. So that's 2 years of complaints collected. And he said one of the things that he said was that when he did his review, when he was reading his 40 pages a night, he said that that it became apparent that there was an issue with the work environment.
There was a theme.
There was a theme there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so interesting because obviously, you know, nobody was keeping track.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a theme that should have emerged, I think, much sooner
Yes,
had
definitely.
anybody been really looking.
It actually did emerge a lot. When I was there back in 2007 and 2009.
Yeah, I really do believe that this is a continuing issue at our facility, and it's been going on for like a super long time because, you know, we've really been the victim of revolving CEOs. So we get CEOs that get kicked out of other tribes, and they all kind of like perpetuate this sort of environment.
Well, and if I may interject, it seems to me, well, this is just my opinion. Hi, everybody, Catherine. It's a patriarchal kind of power structure. So typically, my experience is, you know, as a woman with strong opinions, most men, and I'm generalizing, but that's been my experience within IHS. And mind you, I've been in Alaska, Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. But my experience is when you have women of that have strong leadership skills, they're educated, they are able to clearly articulate what they want to say. They find that intimidating. I know that the places I've been, I've usually been labeled a troublemaker, but that's because I was trying to do the right thing in my job. So I just want to make that clear too, that, you know, it's not necessarily IHS has bad policies, it's because of our leadership that's there. And we need to support our strong leaders that are there speaking up for the right. And just because something you don't like or don't agree with, we need to go back to the policy and procedure. Are we enforcing that? Are we following accreditation guidelines? So you know, I've been with IHS since high school, which is what, 30 plus years now. And 29. But I mean, there's good people and bad people, and when you're talking about IHS, the front line of IHS is mostly Native people. So when we're complaining about IHS, we're complaining about our own people. IHS it's up to us to enforce the policies and procedures. If they're bad policies, then we need to work around it and say, how can we improve this policy so it benefits us instead of hurting us or harming us.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to leadership again and how they're enforcing it and who they're enforcing it with. You know, my experience again is with that patriarchal system of, for lack of a better expression, white is right, or, you know, it's been my experience. When I was in IHS before, we've lost all our Native supervisors through laboratory, radiology, optometry. We had a lot of Native supervisors, Native employees, but we've lost that, especially here in Siston. So we need to go back to, you know, getting past the politics, getting past being, oh, she offended me, we need to get rid of them. You know, we need to go back to what we're trying to do and what we're trying to improve. But that's just been my experience, and I didn't mean to talk, I'm sorry.
So with that, I was saying, you know, with the Human Service Board, you know, filing the complaints and just getting more involved and stuff. So let me see, the reps, Human Service Board rep for Heipa District is Marsha Renville. Lake Traverse was Wanda Thompson, but we are different. We have different meeting times, so she may have to resign because she can't meet during the day. So she may have to resign. We haven't confirmed that yet. Let's see. Bikuli is is it Trilby? Trilby Lawrenson. Buffalo Lake is Cynthia Starr. Long Hollow is who's Long Hollow? Oh, Floyd Hart. Enemy Swim is Jan Redwing. Who am I missing?
I can't remember all the
I
districts.
think I did I say 7? Who's listening?
Oh, don't forget to use the joint commission also.
Yeah.
What did you say?
So I said Bikuli, Enemy Swim, Lake Traverse, Buffalo Lake, Long Hollow. Yeah, I think I got them. I don't know. Anyway, those are the ones. Now, I don't know how I want to say that, Shannon, about removing people, I guess I just want to say that, that healthcare is for everybody, for our healthcare. And I'm trying to talk about the, how they didn't want to remove 2 tribal members. So, is it appropriate to state that? Maybe not.
I mean, it was discussed in a council meeting that was a public meeting.
Okay.
So I do feel like if we're being totally transparent and trying to get information out, that it's an issue that affects the decisions that are made.
Right. So I guess also, if I wanted to say this too. There has been so much, I'm going to say crap, about these darn elder food cards. And I'm only saying it because it's such a big deal. I mean, it is. I mean, our elders, they deserve it. They get it. It's great. But let's get realistic. We have to be fiscally responsible. That's not a popular thing to say. Our population is growing. Our population is getting older, and we are not going to, if our population for the tribal members continues at this rate, we're not going to be able to afford keeping that dollar amount the same level for new tribal members that get older every year. I mean, it's just not going to happen if we don't increase our revenues. And we can increase our revenues if we keep giving it all out. So my point in saying this is, we're making more of a big deal about them food cards than we are about our health care. Now, what's more important? To me, the healthcare is more important. And if you think the healthcare is important to you, I urge you to talk with your human service board rep and your council rep and have them vote the way you want them to vote. Or, at least stand up and ask the questions or something. Because when we talked about this before, there were some council members who did not want to remove or don't want some of our tribal member employees to be removed from those positions. Now, my stance on that was, well, I don't want any more tribal members dead. I don't want any more tribal members getting misdiagnosed. So what's more important? Having a tribal member not have a job because they're not doing their job right, or having tribal members die because somebody didn't do their job right? That's where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to just get mad at somebody because it, whatever, but this is about getting people's healthcare right and treating the healthcare right and getting us the access that we need and the care that we need. And not just trying to be part of this scratching someone's back and doing somebody a favor or whatever.
I mean, I think it's important to say that this whole idea of the toxic work environment is because of certain people that in the administration. And if they're tribal members or not, it really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
If this is what's holding us back from getting providers in here, it's a serious problem.
And and it's not the only problem. It's about our other employees there, other tribal member employees.
Yeah, it's just
they have rights also, and if they're going to be targeted and harassed for doing stuff, that's not right either.
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing. Now, I raised my voice and I got really animated and excited about this, but this is one thing. I am upset, and it upsets me in a manner that's because it's. There's so many people that don't know how to help themselves, that don't know the questions, they don't know how to advocate for themselves in their healthcare. And that really gets me upset and worried, and I get animated about it, and I feel very strongly about it.
Well, yeah, and you can clearly see that you're passionate about it. So, I mean, that's what gets me excited.
Some people will say I'm getting mad and I'm trying to get mad at you and I'm getting mad at you, but I feel very strongly about this and that something needs to change about it. Right. And that's why I get a little bit louder and more vociferous about it, because I just care about it too much.
Now flip that around in the patriarchal society. As a woman, you shouldn't have had to say that.
Oh, yes,
but if you were a man, you would be assertive and you would know what you were talking about.
Right. So anyway, that's where we're at on that. That kind of went a long ways. And there's so many other things that I wanted to talk about. I gave Shannon, I gave her all kinds of stuff that I wanted to talk about. We're probably going to have to do this over. I wanted to do more of these live things because number one, typing it up and putting it on a paper or a messenger or Facebook post is just too much.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's that.
Yeah. So I think we will do some more of these lives, and we'll share them with everybody because it's just important to get the information out. There's a lot of things going on with our leadership, and there's a lot of things that our tribal members don't know, and it's really important that everybody keeps informed. So I really thank you, for wanting to do a live, wanting to speak up, and wanting to inform the membership about what's going on.
Give them a heads up on some of the things that we want to talk about next.
Okay.
I mean, not tonight, but next time.
Yeah, Chapter 21 revisions, IT, the SHOTA, and our banking.
Okay, very good.
So we will schedule another live, and this time maybe we'll give a little bit more notice.
We've been trying to, our schedules were matching up. We had it all planned, and then something came up, and something came up. No, meanwhile, 2 weeks go by.
So I just want to thank everybody for joining us, and I want to thank Gypsy and Catherine for speaking up and providing information. And as always, if you want to know anything, please get a hold of Gypsy, get a hold of you know, like your Human Services Board members, because we talked about IHS quite extensively today. And so, and then again, that link is in the comments if you want to
File a joint commission.
yeah, file complaints with the Joint Commission.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Bye.